Morning everyone, end of a very long week at DB Motos. I'll try and keep this video short, but there's quite a lot to go through, but Facebook doesn't seem to like me going longer than 10 minutes, so I will do my best. John unfortunately got ill this week and had to go off, so we lost a bit of time, so we're a bit behind in where we were hoping to be. 4 bikes outside. We've got a 250 Samurai, its engine's in pieces, having a crank rebuild. GT 550, we haven't managed to get onto that yet, we were hoping to. VF 400, again we were hoping to get onto that, but we haven't other than initial assessment. Teesdar 250, that went onto the dyno and started losing coolant, and it was on the head bolts, so we've actually got the head off that helicoiling and sorting out a head bolt. GS Thou, this one's going out today. It's had a major overhaul really, quite a lot done to it. We're just waiting for a master cylinder seal kit. Well, it's actually arrived, I just need to fit master cylinder seal kit where you can see that rag on the front brake. Handlebars have been changed. We've ordered a bespoke brake hose to suit that. Clutches had to be changed when it was parked up, and the owner then went to move it for the first time. Every time the clutch was locked solid, so he had to free it off, and that wasn't doing the clutch or gearbox any good. Lots of little things like that. New front sprocket, a list of work that the customer brought in with us. The TR750, this came into us as a very, very hard to start bike, and we found out pretty quickly it was due to the ignition system that was on it. It's got a race ignition system. It would spark once and then go dead. We'd put a new ignition system on it from Electrex World. All these little CDI units and coils in this tray here. It started up then, and then once I had it on the dyno to start doing some checks and tests, I found it was jumping between gears unexpectedly, and then the clutch just started to lock up and lose action. So I had to take it off the dyno, give the owner a ring, and he's given us the authority to go into the engine, try and find out what's going on there. So we've had to park this one. We're actually going to reassemble it and put it into store for a while, because I don't have the diary time to be taking the engine apart right now. The diary's full already with what we've got on. So it's going to go into storage, and then in January-ish we'll pull it back out. The Harris Magnum 1, Z-Thou engined Harris Magnum. Really, really nice bike. It's very, very, very sort of period. It's not been really touched since. It's got that 80s feel about it. It came in with some wiring issues which I've sorted out. It didn't have a bad wiring harness on it. When I got it going, it was charging at about 18 volts though, so I've put a modern regulator rectifier unit into there. Got it charging at a nice stable 14.5. Had it on the dyno yesterday, and all we've got is just running rich, so we're trying to find different methods of making it run better. These are what the customer brought in. So it came in with these foam pods on, which we're hoping to run, but they're steel backed rather than a full foam. It ran very rich with those on. We couldn't really get a run out of it. We ran it open carb and it did okay, but was still a bit rich. And then the customer brought these in, which were on it when he got it. They were sort of a midway between, weaker at the bottom end, but still ran rich at top end. So yeah, we're going to end up rejetting it, I think, and hopefully running it with the foam filters on. Because open carbs are great, but you do suck in a lot of sort of airborne debris, which will wear your engine. If you're racing, that's not an issue, but for a road bike, it's not ideal. So I'd rather run some filters. The CB1100RD is parked and ready. The owner's coming in next week, and we're going to fit the bodywork. He's still got all the bodywork at his home. He's been on holiday for a little while, so he's got back. He's going to bring all the bodywork in next week. We're going to fit that. And the CB1100 might actually be leaving us. Let's see what we've got on this bench. Sorry, not watching where I'm going. GT750. A friend of ours has brought this in, John. Lots to do on it. Nothing major, nothing serious, but lots of tinkering. This bike came into us before and had a sort of carburetor check and set up an oil pump. And then when it's come back into us, some of those bits and pieces weren't quite the same. So I'm not sure what had happened, but this linkage down here on the oil pump was wrong. Wasn't set up properly, and the oil pump was overstroking, delivering too much oil into the engine. Carburetors just needed a little tinker. We're trying to sort some issue out with the front end, but slightly sort of wobbly on its steering. The steering head bearings were loose, so we've had a nip up on those. Anyway, just working through it. This bike John was working on it before he went off ill, so he'll be back onto that when he gets back. The RD500 is really nicely taking shape. All the cooling systems on, all the exhausts are back on, chains back on, drives back on. We've got ancillaries and electrics to put on, and then carburetors. And then we'll be having a go at starting that up sometime in early December. This DT400, the customer brought it in. He's sort of it's not restoring, he's just building a new bike out of what was a very old rusty thing. He's had it many years and it sat in the back of the garage and just went rusty. So he thought to himself, right, enough, got to do something with it. And what he's doing with it is just something a bit different. Interesting sort of headlamp kit on it. It's got a 12 volt conversion on it, so he brought it in with no electrical wiring on it whatsoever, other than the components like the switches, the ignition switch sort of in place, but no wiring. And he brought, which is something I've never seen before, a universal wiring harness, which I didn't know you could get, genuinely. This came out of a bag and it's not for a DT at all. It's a universal harness for, it said on the packet, a custom chopper or cruiser. So I fitted it to the bike. Now it's not a terrible fit. There's just lots of wiring that you won't need. Lots of wiring, but the placing's not too bad. So the rear light and indicator connector placing was up there. I've wired it into here. There's a battery wire coming out here, which is in about the right place for the battery. And then these wires will all relate to things that you can use up at this end of the bike. So as long as you've sort of got a clue of what you're doing with electrics, which thankfully I've got a general idea, it's not too bad to fit. I don't suppose it would fit a lot of bikes just quite as well. But anyway, what we're using, one piece of kit we use for this is this called a power probe. So this at the moment is connected and clipped onto the bike. One clip there on the negative and one clip there on the battery. So first thing it does is tell me what battery power we've got. Now the way you use it, if you press these buttons, you can put, you see that little red light come on just there, you can put positive power in there. If you press backwards, you can light up and that's neutral. So the tip of this, you can make it positive or negative related to the battery. So at the moment I don't want to connect the battery up with no ignition switch, but I'm making circuits work and I want to test them as I go. So for example, the back indicators are now wired in through this connector here. They'll be powered from the front on, let's say, this orange wire. So if I put the power probe into that orange wire and press positive to supply power through that cable, the indicator comes on. So I can use that to test each circuit. Same with the backlight, which the brake light switch will go into this connector here. So if I put positive onto that, you can see the brake light lighting up. So that's how we do it. We'll connect a circuit up, we'll test it with the circuit tester, and that way we don't actually have to plug the battery into the ignition switch and the ignition switch into the circuit and chase it through. It's got a Rex Speed Shop ignition system on it for America. That's the 12 volt conversion as well. So all the lights on it will be 12 volts, and then we've just got to do final wiring. We're working through it. It's probably got another week on it, something like that. That's the headlight fairing off the Magnum sat there on the bench. That's been rewired. A bit long and a bit bulky when you're putting the bike in the dyno. You don't want that on. And the little meter is moving on bit by bit. Job the other day, we got these custom brake lines made just to mount the calipers to the master cylinder. That's about it, I think. It's just me and Oscar in today. We're probably not doing a tremendous variety of work. The job really is to get this GS Thou finally finished off and get it out the door, and maybe have a little bit more jetting work on that Harris Magnum and stick it on the dyno. I've got some video work. The dyno's been working really hard this week. I've had a lot of bikes on it and I've videoed a few of them, so we'll do we'll put a bit of footage online. Right, best get prepped and get on with it then. Have a good weekend everyone, and we'll see what next week brings.